Hi everyone, welcome to my podcast where I talk about my knitting and my horsemanship journey. My name is Corrina. I live in the Pacific Northwest with my partner, our two kitties, and my two Bureau of Land Management Mustangs. I will have more information about Mustang adoption in the drop-down box. It used to be called the show notes, and I think it also used to be called the description box. Maybe it's still called that. I'm not sure. Anyway, welcome. This is episode 40 of the Knitting Equestrian Nomad. So I think that title indicates my major interests, and those are knitting and horsemanship. So the first thing I want to do, I am holding a finished object in my hand because there are two kitties in the room with me, and one of them likes to eat yarn, little stinker. I do want to show you an older finished object. This is the Crossvine sweater. It's a Barocco pattern, oversized cable, both sides. Sleeves are a little bit long for me, but otherwise I like the way this fits. It's been cooler now that it's autumn. By the way, it is Friday, September 13th. It's nice outside, but it's definitely cooler and fall. You can probably see the sun on my face, so I'm going to scoot a little forward. It's a little bit too warm to be wearing the sweater right now, but I wanted to show it to you. The yarn is Barocco. I think it's Ultra Alpaca. I don't remember. I was trying to think if it was chunky. It feels kind of like a chunky yarn. I bought this yarn last summer, July of 2022 in Viroqua, Wisconsin, at the yarn shop called Utopia. So E-U-E, Topia. Pardon me while I take a drink of my hot water. I started knitting this last fall. I want to say it was probably November, and then as things go, I probably was working on a bunch of other projects too at the same time, because that's what I do, and I didn't finish it until May, and then it was way too warm to wear it. I have been wearing this quite a bit this week, as it's just nice to put on over a t-shirt, and I can go outside in it. It was rainy earlier this week, so I would go out just outside with that, and I knit a colorwork hat. It's an Arne and Carlos pattern. It's called the Sedestall hat. I made two of them, and the one I've been wearing lately is different than what the recommended colors were. It has blue and white and brown and green and maybe a little gold. I think the original hat I made is it's red and blue and gray instead of pink. Their pattern called for pink, but I didn't have any of that color, but I had gray and gold. So I don't know if I got all the colors in there, but yeah, I am wearing that a lot. So I'm going to fold this up, put it in my lap to keep it away from the little kitty monsters, and hopefully not get too warm with it just sitting in my lap. We'll see. Okay, finished object. So I finished the Misurina. So a cropped colorwork tee. I don't think I showed this last time. I used Brooklyn tweed yarn in the color Goldfinch, and this is Hollyhock. The body is, and sorry about the lighting, let me see if I can get that a little bit better. The body is, you could either do one or the other. I did both. One is a knit with some pearl stitches in there, and the other one is more of a lace pattern, so I just alternated. The yarn is, so you might see what looks like some variation, particularly in the Goldfinch colorway. It's called overtones, so I believe that means it was overdyed to give it some more depth of color. I have worn this a couple times. It's fairly cropped, so I wear a shirt underneath it. I would have made it longer, except I really ran out of yarn. I think I have actually with my leftover yarn. I had a lot more of the hollyhock. I think I just used one skein of the hollyhock, and then I used 3 of the goldfinch, and this is what I have left of the goldfinch. So not very much. Yeah, finished objects. So I have a lot of works in progress. Maybe if I put the sweater in my basket, because it is warm just sitting in my lap. Finished objects. So what do I have going on? I have, no, works in progress is what I'm really trying to say. So I have several things going on. 3 are mystery cows. So I'll just show you the first one, which is a knit along. So all of these are knit alongs. 3 of them are mystery cows. Maybe I should finish talking about Misurina first. So I did bring the pattern up here. So this is the pattern. It's by Caitlin Hunter. I think she also goes by Boyland Knits. I got this pattern on sale last summer when she was doing her pattern sale. She did another pattern sale, and I bought her a pair of Colorwork socks pattern. I didn't buy the socks. I bought the pattern for the Colorwork socks. I don't need another sock pattern, but I have plenty of fingering weight yarn, sock yarn that could use a job. So why not? I like socks. I like Colorwork socks. So here is the yarn. Yeah, this is Overtone American Columbia wool. It's 1 color, 2 shades. I'm reading the back. So the undertone is dark and the overtone is light. It says we start with a light and dark heathered base yarn to create tone pairs using traditional over-dyed techniques. So, and they also list on the back of the label where the yarn came from. So the origin is from Johnson County, Wyoming. It was scoured in San Angelo, Texas. It was spun in Two Rivers, Wisconsin. It was dyed in Philadelphia, PA, and it was designed in Portland, Oregon. So it seems like it's had some, it has some miles on it. So yeah, but I kind of appreciate that effort of being all local yarn. I was outside working, which is why my hair's kind of in a braid that's falling apart, and I'm a little thirsty. Okay, so what am I working on? I'll show you the half-finished object. This is for Sockoween. This is hosted by the Bakery Bears. I finished 1 sock. This is a Hobbity sock by Kay Jones. I do the heel flap and gusset. And this is Freckled Whimsy Yarn of the Month Club, and this was for October. This is my last of the yarn subscription. I haven't knit all of the stash that I got from her, so and this is called Hagrid's Pumpkin Patch. So here it is in a ball. Pretty, very pretty. I really enjoy this. I enjoy the pattern. I am working on the leg of the second sock. So it's a fun pattern, 1x1 rib, and then for however, what depth that is, she describes it in her pattern. And this pattern, I believe, was included in the Knitivity or Knitability magazine that they publish for patrons, and I am a patron, so it's nice to get a free pattern out of usually around every Christmas. You can, of course, pay a greater amount per month and get like what they call their platinum pattern set that's not available to anyone else but their platinum patrons. So I don't believe that she offers those for sale, at least not immediately. Okay, So another MKAL that I'm doing is another sock pattern. This is from Sofia's Tales. Sofia is a knitwear designer in Sweden, and she has a podcast, as does the Bakery Bears. So very simple. This is called Sofia's Sock Mystery Knit Along, and I'm trying to find the first page of it. This is just kind of the information that it uses two different kinds of yarn. So there's her yarn choice there on this side. I am using for the cuffs, and I'll show you in a second, I am using this hand-dyed yarn that I got from a trunk show in Bellingham. So it's really pretty blue. And it is by, it's a super 75-25 superwash merino wool nylon, Jadawoo Designs. So here is the label, and the color is, yep, it's navy. And then the other color I'm using is a legacy yarn. So this is, I want to say it's hedgehog, but I'm trying to find the label. So the legacy yarn is a yarn that I got from Randy's Aunt Gail, who was invited to peruse a woman's who was going into memory care. I'm looking at Herbert sniffing my sweaters, but he's wisely moved on. Anyway, Aunt Gail went to check out this woman's yarn stash and picked out several nice skeins of yarn, and one of them is this hedgehog fiber, and the colorway is truffle. And Herbert is going to make not very wise decisions. So here is the label, and it's a very pretty fall color. Not a whole lot of contrast between the two, but the socks are knit one color at a time, so I just think they're going to be a really pretty pairing. And I'll show you what I have done so far. Sofia releases clues once per week, and it just started last Friday, so October 6th. And so what I did is I knit the cuff for both. Trying to get this out of here without pulling any needles out of the project. So it's caught on something. Oh, it's caught on my row counter. So this is what I have so far. I just got the second clue this morning. So here's the cuff, which is a kind of a broken rib pattern, and then I've done a couple rounds of this stitch pattern. So I think this is going to be really pretty. Oh, well, sorry, I didn't realize the needle was stuck like through. Let me show you better. Here we go. Hopefully that's better. Let me see if I can see. Here we go. I think that works. Hopefully you can see those colors. So that's whip number 2. Oh, I have another whip that's downstairs that I did not remember to bring up. It's the Corran cardigan. I've shown it before. The Corran cardigan is knit out of cotton DK weight yarn. The pattern is it's a paid for pattern by the Creabea, who is a knitwear designer in Edinburgh, Scotland. She's a very prolific designer. I think last year was her first year designing, and she published 17 patterns, which I find astonishing. And she works full time. So go her. I think she has a lot of time to knit, like during meetings and stuff. I sometimes can knit during meetings, but not all that often. And that Corran sweater or cardigan is my Zoom knitting project. yeah, but like yesterday I was hoping that I would have time, but I was just really busy all day. Okay, carefully pull this out. So this is a shawl. This is the haunted house mystery, and I just finished clue 1. So this is really fun. It actually, I think the last clue came out today, and I just finished clue 1 because I got a kind of a late start. So let me see if I can show this. So this is fingering weight yarn. This had a new technique I've never used before, which is the spider stitch. Let me see if the red, my stitch markers are kind of showing in the way, but there we go. So this is called the spider stitch, which is kind of fun. I made a boo-boo on the first one, so there's only 3 legs of the spider, but the rest of them have the 4 legs on each side. So, and I just started color 2. This yarn is leftover sock yarn from, no, it's actually leftover fingering weight yarn from the Love Note sweater that I made. And then the color 2, which I just started, is a Barocco yarn. So hopefully this all works out to something that I want to wear. If not, I don't know. I don't have a problem with ripping out. So that's really fun. It's quite a packet of papers though. You need a total of 6 colors, and I've already rearranged my colors so far and took out one and added another. So we'll see how this goes. I kind of know what it's going to look like because I've been watching on Instagram, and I don't mind spoilers because I don't remember long enough to remember what happened at the next time, so no big deal. And my final one is the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along. And if you are doing his Mystery Knit Along, you probably know that he released Clue 1 on the date a week or so ago. It started right before the Sofia. Yeah, I think it was October 5th. He released Clue 1. Got some feedback from people, from knitters who were worried that it resembled a hate symbol too much. So I really appreciate that he took that very seriously and redesigned the pattern, took down Clue 1, and just really pivoted and made a completely different pattern. So this is I'm still on Clue 1. Clue 2 I think was released yesterday. Let's see if I have the right side. No, that's the wrong side. It's 4 colors. This color right here is one of the legacy knits. The blue is from Stash, the green is from Stash, and this one I bought at that trunk show. So that's the another Jadawoo hand dyed. So this is what it looks like. I'm not sure that the cables on my needles are going to be long enough to continue this, but I will give it a try. Hopefully I don't have to buy new needles because I like Jadawoo red lace. I do not have their interchangeable set, so I would probably have to buy needles with a longer cable. Although the Haunted House cowl, those might be on a longer cable. I may have to rethink this. So those are my whips. That's my finished object and my works in progress. I don't have anything that I'm going to rip out this time. I haven't ripped out the one I talked about last time. I think it's a pair of socks that I need to redo the sole. I just have a lot going on right now. And I applied for a test knit, which, why did I do that? I don't know. So we'll see. I have done one test knit before and honestly found it a little bit stressful. So I'm not really sure why I did this one, except I like the pattern, so why not? It's for a cowl, and it's a really short turnaround time, about 3 weeks, but I know if I focus, I can get it done, and probably at least the Sockoween socks. So that is, that's the knitting. So what's going on with the horses? Last weekend, I went on a trail ride with a bunch of friends. It was one of my friends' birthday, and she wanted to gather as many friends possible to go horseback riding, and so we did that. We had a bunch of stuff done in the barnyard the previous week. I got a load of hay, and we had our derelict 1973 camper that was literally falling apart on the stands, hauled away. In order to do those two things, I had to disassemble the round pen, which is otherwise known as Bragi's playpen, because that is the safest place for him to be if I take Odin away. And it was disassembled, so I was able to borrow a friend's horse, which was really fun. It was a older black quarter horse named Sebastian. He's 19-year-old quarter horse and very much a gentleman to ride. So as long as I stayed fairly close to his pasture mate, all went well. And it was a lovely day. It was in the mid-70s, and there were 8 of us who rode. The trails were wonderful, and we rode to the river, the Stillaguamish River, where the salmon are running up. And in the Stillaguamish River is quite shallow this time of year, so you could just see literally hundreds of salmon wriggling their way upstream to spawn. So it was just really wonderful. That was Sunday. So Monday was a holiday. It was Indigenous Peoples Day, and the county I work for observes that holiday. So I had that off, and I spent that day putting the playpen back together, and just generally putting fences back up that I had to take down in order to get those other chores done during the week. I'm looking at Harley playing in the corner. Harley the cat. So, and it's just timing being what it is. The local trail system is closed as of tomorrow. For 2 weeks, because they issue permits for hunting deer, and so they don't want any recreation happening on. It's a privately owned tree farm, a working tree farm, so they can really do whatever they want in terms of opening and closing trails. It is a real privilege to be able to use those trails as a mountain biker, as a hiker, as a horseback rider. So it's open to non-motorized use, although I believe when they open it for hunting season, they do allow people to drive their vehicles in as long as they stay on the logging roads. So timing is what it is. The playpen's put back together for Bragi to be in, and I'm not going to be able to take Odin anywhere for a couple weeks. That's okay. With Bragi, I have been working on getting him trailer loaded. My trainer is helping me putting him on the path to being ridden, because he is 5 years old, and it's really time for him to start maturing and taking responsibility for his. Oops, my camera just went into low power mode. So hopefully. Back to Bragi, it's time. He's 5 years old, so, and definitely able to support the weight of a person on his back, and it's time for him to kind of grow up and take some responsibility. He's kind of emotionally immature. He's fairly insecure, so which is why he has to go in the playpen when I take Odin away, because he runs around and he hollers and he just worries. He's very attached to Odin. I can take Bragi away, and I know Odin worries a little bit, but not. But once Odin realizes that he's coming back, I think Odin actually kind of enjoys the peace and quiet. So I have been bringing Bragi up to the front of the property that's out of sight of the barn, and allowing him to graze in our front yard. This is also where my truck and trailer are parked. And then we started practicing trailer loading. Horse training can be like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or 1 step forward and 3 steps back. So I've been trying to teach Bragi how to maturely handle his emotions. Because like I said, he worries when he's not in the sight of Odin. He's been really good about walking up to the front yard with me, and then he starts worrying about what, I don't know, like a car will drive by on the road, the neighbors will be doing something. He worries, and he tends to kind of go bananas. Not dangerously, because we've established some ground rules about that. It's like, you can go bananas, but you need to do it over there where I am safe from you going bananas, because he's probably 1,100 pounds is my guess. And, you just don't want something like that happening in your space, because they can accidentally knock you down because they're afraid and they're worried about something and trying to get away from something, but you're in their way. So we establish those boundaries. It's like, you can go bananas over there and you can go bananas over there. You just can't go bananas in my lap. So we've been working on that. He's been really worried about the trailer. He has been in it, but then he started worrying about it. So I took a couple steps back and just brought him up to graze. It's like, okay, we're going to go up front. We're just going to graze. See? Fun, easy. Yeah, the trailer's over there, but that's okay. We're not going to do anything with it. Yesterday, he was worried about grazing, even though we hadn't been doing anything with the trailer. So I had to set a couple more ground rules. It's like, when we're up here, your job is to graze. I am going to watch out and make sure that nothing gets you, and you have to stay out of my space, and you can't run past me. So we established that, and he got it. He did pretty good. It's like, okay, I'm supposed to graze. And he'd try to run past me. I'd send him back. It's like, okay, I'm supposed to graze. So we did that, and then I noticed that he was worried grazing near the trailer. So we played a target game, and this is something that can be really fun for horses. Is you ask them to touch their nose to something, and then they get a treat for doing that. So we played that game, and he was really snorty and worried, but he did it. And then, okay, we'll go back to just grazing. And that was fine. And so took him back to the barn, and oh, phew, I'm back with Odin. Life is good. So I thought I would practice that again today. And I have to say, it went much better. He understood that he wasn't to walk past me, that his job was to graze, and he could look around, that's fine, but I'm looking out for him. And I get to drive. In other words, I get to decide where we're going and when we go. So we did that, and I kind of encouraged him to graze toward the trailer. We played the target game, so he touched his nose to the trailer. He did that really well. He got it right away, and went back to grazing, and it was great. So much better today. I'm not gonna have time. I don't think I'm gonna have time to practice that tomorrow. So they'll get a day off tomorrow. Anyway, after I put Bragi back in his pen, I brought Odin up, because I've kind of noticed that Odin, I feel like he's been kind of snubbing me, because I've been spending most of my horse time with Bragi, and I rode a completely different horse last weekend. So it's like, okay, so like he wouldn't, at the first thing, he wouldn't really mind, you know, he's like, no, you've been ignoring me, so I'm going to ignore you. And he'd walk past me. I was like, oh, no, this is your job. You need to stay with me, and I get to drive. I get to decide when we go. I get to decide when we back up. So he's like, okay, all right, we're back on track now. And so we've been grazing up front. You know, I just take him up for about 10 minutes, and I don't have to hold the lead rope with him. Once we get up there, I can, and he starts grazing, I can drop the lead rope and I can go like fiddle around the garden, which I did. So, and I do that for about 10 minutes and then I bring him back. In the meantime, Bragi, we can hear Bragi back at the barn whinnying because he's worried about about Odin being by himself. I had Bragi just in his own pen with his stall, and he's been acting pretty good. One thing I like about his stall is that they're sheltered to get out of the rain. Not that he would use it if he was worried about being away from O, which is why it's okay to put him in the round pen even if it's pouring down rain, is because he's not going to be in his stall anyway. The reason why I don't keep him in his pen is because 2 reasons. One, it's a gravel paddock and I'm afraid he's going to paw at it, dig holes, and also damage his hooves. Also, the gate is aluminum, so not super sturdy. I mean, if he was really going bananas, he could really bend it and possibly break it and hurt himself. The round pen is steel and it's sand, so if he digs, he can dig all he wants, and he can't really hurt himself with the steel. He can bend the steel, but he's pretty respectful. So that's why I do that until he gains more maturity. So I'm hoping next week when my trainer comes back that we can start focusing back getting in the trailer. But for the meantime, we're just going to work on the easy stuff and help him build his confidence. So we're at a little over 30 minutes. Just want to talk about some reading. I finally finished Demon Copperhead. It was torture to get through the book. It's a very long book, but it was fabulous. If you haven't read it, it's a Pulitzer Prize winner by Barbara Kingsolver. It's a great book, and it really describes some issues with foster care, with the fentanyl epidemic, and in the setting of the Appalachian Mountains area. So they're in Virginia. So great book, highly recommend it. I'm taking a brain break from reading the difficult stuff, and I'm reading a really nice Frances May book about life in Italy, in Tuscany. So that's pretty awesome. I think that's all I have to talk about. I'll put a couple photos at the end, some mushroom harvest, and just a picture of Bragi that I took this morning. So hope you all have a good couple of weeks, and I will see you probably in 2 weeks' time.